The okay, so the Homo sapiens, the hominin species that existed for at least 200,000 years throughout Europe and Western Asia and disappeared 27,000 years ago. So that was 8,500 years ago from 27,000. That's about 18,000 years before paleface emerged. The last Neanderthal was here.
Mm.
Right. All peoples on the planet Earth was melanated, and it was intervention in laboratories that caused the lower spectrum of the DNA to outwardly express. Everything that you see in the human arena is on the DNA of the great mother, the first mother. All of your DNA traits, the full spectrum, from your lightest skin to your darkest skin, from your tightest curl hair to your straightest hair, it's all in her DNA. Right? Bobby Hemmings said it was a woman walking around with universes in her uterus in America.
Mm-hmm.
And when y'all figure out who she is, she's the mother of all of us. She don't take no sides in sibling rivalry. She tell y'all to sort that stuff out, and y'all come to me when y'all know how to act right. We got to get over this racist doctrine because it's a critical mechanism of divide and conquer.
Right.
And as Dr. Neely Fuller said, if you don't understand white supremacy is a military strategy. If you don't understand white supremacy, everything that you think you understand is actually confusing.
Yes. Okay.
White supremacy is codified and called the protocols of the wise men or the learned elders of Zion. And the rollout to it is the morals and dogma of Albert Pike. The battleground is a corporation known as the United States, the interim government for the last hurrah of the Great War.
Which is the Great War, which is
the 6,000-year reign of the people that was antithesis to Earth, the inverted people from the mirror universe.
So even when we the fifth root race they say is the Aryans. So even the Aryans, original Aryans, were melanated people then.
They still is. The original Aryans, they called them the Untouchables of India. They call them Dravidians. They look like the Jackson 5s from the early 70s. They whole bloodline. Some of them got wavy hair and they dark. Some of them darker than us. Rich, make me and you look light skinned.
Oh man, this is some. All right, so another term. You seen the video with Noble Ampoule, and he mentioned Abraham Lincoln. Now, people said he was a Melungian. That's not a term we hear about anymore. What are Melungians, Rod Hayes? And who were the Melungians?
See, there's so many different names. It's hard to keep up with them. That one is not one we use a lot. Yeah, see, those was just another name for mixed people. People that come from a diversified genetic stock. It's like calling them a mutt.
Mulatto, like okay. The current term for that would be mulatto.
No, mulatto, you can be 50%, and you can look heavily melanated or lightly melanated and be a mulatto.
Right.
That means you have 50%. Right, to be a quadroon, meaning you 1/4. To be an octoroon, meaning you 1/8. But remember, the doctrine is 1 drop of blood. Right. So even if you 1/8, you still could classify as so-called black.
Yeah, you mentioned Elvis some earlier. Somebody said Elvis was Melungian. Would you classify him as Melungian, Elvis?
He would easily fall in it. That was the name given to the people that mixed in the Appalachians region.
Right. Indeed. Yeah, this is like wow, I'm glad having this conversation with you. Let me ask you, in terms of the when I think you called it the flash flood, or when the ice age,
Yeah, that was after the war. That was the nuclear winter after the last Anunnaki Great Holocaust War.
Okay, time frame. We're looking at 10,000 years. 10,000 years ago, Rod.
Yeah, you can just look up the beginning of the last ice age to give you the time frame.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, so it lasted from about 115,000 to 11,700 years ago. Yeah.
Damn, the ice age was that long, right? So what the hell was going on the planet? If there's a whole ice age for 100,000 years, what's happening on the planet
It,
at that time?
it was a nuclear winter.
A nuclear winter. And
Yeah.
okay, so this nuclear winter was caused by the Anunnaki.
It was caused by the last Anunnaki's war, what they call the Great Holocaust, also known as the Vimanis War. The Vimanis Sutras write about it. Those were the Aryan races in India who was writing about it back then, and they left the text to tell some of the story, but it was more than them that tell the story.
Damn.
They only give you bits and pieces, like in the Bible, Sodom and Gomorrah. They don't tell you that was a nuclear disaster.
Sodom and wow.
Then you got the remnants of nuclear war all over Saharan Africa.
Yeah.
You know, in the pyramid complex, the Mediterranean is filling in a crater from a bomb. Mount Vesuvius was blown because the crater began to leak into the inner earth, so they had to patch it with the lava from Mount Vesuvius. Then you had the Gulf of America, formerly known as the Gulf of Mexico, as a crater. That's not even a secret. They already know that's part of regular science. Meteor struck where the Mediterranean is, and what meteors? Those was atomic bombs.
Who was the Anunnaki beefing with at the
They
time?
fighting each other. They was having sibling rivalries in a fight for dominance within an internal family, and they used people like chess pieces to play the war out in the open, in the general population. So you got them controlling the war by nobody not knowing that the war is taking place. But the ultimate end game is to wake up from the slumber of the Piscean age in the artificially induced nuclear winter in order for us to come back to our senses as to who we were as eternal beings. We always been, we gonna always be, but we didn't always have bodies. Meat modems, Earth rovers.
Since we're so familiar with this vehicle, we call the Earth rovers. We done had some good shows about this vehicle we call the human body, right? I mean, we done did about 4 or 5 different segments on it, man, and just touched on it from different angles, man. It's been dope. What vehicle did we use before the human body, Rod?
We whole like when you're not in the physical body, you was called a whole light being. Or etheric being.
I thought you was gonna say something like dragons or some shit like that, Rod.
No, dragon is a metaphor, comparative analysis. It don't mean dragons didn't exist. But when you say we dragons, that means we spit fire when we talk. We masters, we high chiefs. Right? Dragon mean master. Master with the power to control and speak into existence of things. Was commonly referred to in Kemet as Husia, exceptional or authoritative utterance, exceptional insight. That make you a dragon.
Yeah, y'all. This is the man. So, all right. So when all right, the nuclear winter thing, that is a very interesting part of history that a lot of people don't know about. When the nuclear winter was coming to an end, and on Google it says the ice age ended around 11,000 years ago. what's the civilization that popped up on the scene? The first civilization once this nuclear ice age ended, Rod, this nuclear winter.
Okay, so Atlantis was still operational. It's just a lot of its metropolises had been rendered useless through warfare. Right? So now we coming from out of the ice age 11,000 years ago, and this is when you see the rise of Kemet, the onset of modern history, the settling of Samaria. Right? So all it is, like if you go back to the first dynastic period, that's not the first dynasty. They had kings lists with kings that lived and ruled for thousands of years, because we was living back then. It was called the forever time, or the Tepi, I think is how you pronounce it. Right, the eternal time, the time where the physical body, if you had a proper diet, you could homeostasis set in, and you know how to maintain the balance, then your body could live for a prolonged time. And then you had the aid of secondary avatars to use too. While this one getting repaired in the sarcophagi, I could get up in another body and walk around like I ain't in there getting worked on.
Ain't that some shit? So it's gonna go back to that, Rod?
We still had the technology. It was just frozen in Antarctica. They got it now.
They got the technology in Antarctica.
Yeah. Yeah. They thought them people out. They the ones telling them all the moves to make. They thought when Richard Burden went down to Antarctica to see what they was doing down there, he discovered that it was frozen over. It was flash froze. People was in the middle of the street. They never get to move. They walking down the street in motion and frozen. That means they was frozen instantly. Now they need to know how to throw them out. This is where they get the cryostasis from. We ain't know nothing about no cryostasis until we got done messing with the people in Antarctica. They frozen and telepathic at the same time. Let that sink in.
Yo, family, ain't this is some interesting? This is the history that is heavily suppressed.
Listen, when they thawed them out, they told us over here that these people came from Africa and adapted extremely well to the cold of Antarctica, and they called them the Bazinga tribe. That's some BS. They was already in Antarctica, and they already told them how to thaw them out. They already had this technology. This is nothing new. Nothing new under the sun, Brother Rich. We did all of this stuff a bazillion times. But it was the same but different every time.
Right. The same but different every time. You know what I think is confusing, Rod? All right, so the shit you talking about, Rod, and I always be like, yo, Rod, you be saying some out of this world shit, Rod. And you talking about, nuclear winters and Anunnaki beings and people being able to use different avatars, different bodies. I think what's confusing to melanated people in particular, I think white people could gravitate, when I'm quote, white, black, they could grasp concepts easier sometimes because of their lack of, I guess, indoctrination. Like we were indoctrinated with religion. Everything is just evil to us. Everything is the devil to us. And
that's the barrier of fear.
Yeah. And but this is what I was gonna say. Some of our master teachers, Rod, like let's say Dr. Ben, let's say Dr. John Henry Clark, they didn't say the stuff you saying. So when you come after them, right? And I'm not even talking about Dr. York now. Let's just say Dr. Ben, Dr. John Henry Clark. When you come after them and say this stuff, the first thing people think is, well, hey, the master teachers, Dr. Ben, Dr. John Henry Clark, Ivan Van Sertima, so and so forth. They didn't say it. So this dude has got to be out his MFM mind because they didn't say it. So my thing is like, why you think they didn't talk about some of this stuff?
A lot of the stuff I'm talking about, they make mention of.
Okay.
Right. when we start, see, we starting at history beginning, modern history, right? At the first dynasty of Egypt. That's when we got the first clock of modern time.
First dynasty of Egypt.
Right. So, because this is the standard of history. Anything before that is called antediluvian history.
Antediluvian. Yeah.
Which means before the flood.
Right.
Which means when the ice finally melted from the artificially induced nuclear winter, the melting of the ice caused mud to be everywhere. It wasn't a literal flood; it was frozen.
So it wasn't a literal flood like how we think it was.
No, everything was frozen, and then when the nuclear winter, it can't break until it cleaned the radiation up enough. This is what switches your genetics, by the way. Radiation is what causes the unnatural change in DNA. And this is what caused us to go from magnesium-based to iron-based. Because we was originally breathing ozone, the double O oxygen molecule. Now we breathe in the single oxygen molecule. So it changes the rate of combustion in the biology. When we using magnesium, right, we giving off radiant shades of blue and green. We look like that movie, The Avatar, except we not tall. With tails, we standing around with blue skin and afros, blue skin and straighty hair. But we all had shades of blue to green. This is why you see that Osiris is olive green. You see Krishna is baby blue. Sometimes he navy blue. Kali Ma, she's blue, almost black. So the different shades.
Genealogy records, or
you get signs. Like you just told me you was a Mississippian out the gate.
Yeah.
The Mississippian is one of the oldest tribes, and they connected to every tribe. This is why we can become honorary members of all of the tribes. When this type of work need to be done, all of the tribes put us through the ringer. I haven't been, even though I've been in the criminal underworld, so to speak, for this society. And of all of the despised and rejected, I become the most loved and respected by being a bump straight.
Same.
Right. So when all of the tribes say, okay, what's going on the land, I have to tell them.
Yeah.
Right. And I can't hold back. I can't, like the way we wired, man, we can't go along to get along.
And that's what fucks me up, because I speak my mind so much they try to filter me. Ever since I was born little, you know, I was raised around a lot of white folks, right? So I always knew how to speak. So when they would speak to them, I would still have my tongue from who I am. So I wouldn't bite my tongue, so it would hurt them. It would make them uncomfortable. But the only reason why I was making them uncomfortable is because they weren't aware of the place that I was already sitting in. You see what I'm saying? They didn't understand the power that I was already in. So a lot of times you'll have like the pastors or the whatever of the white community try to come and say, oh, just try to fit in. You know what I'm saying? Chill off on saying nigga too much. Chill off on saying black too much. Chill off on bumping your music too loud and doing whatever, you know, just having your mannerisms as a brother. You know what I'm saying?
Look,
they try to tell you to chill off on that.
In our community, you know, we see the graffiti. We don't know that's tribal communication.
Exactly.
It's tribal communication in their motherfucking face. That's why they made it illegal. They know what it is, and they know we talking on the land, but they don't know what the fuck we saying because they can't read our language. But we can read theirs.
Exactly. So, and go ahead. Sorry, brother. Sorry.
So when I go through the community, I can walk through the community and know the entire condition by the graffiti, by the positioning of the neighborhood, the elder women, where they at, how the neighbors respond to them. I know what I can read the community like I'm reading a book. So this is why I get to the point where I can easily see who don't belong, and I can see who do. right? And certain ones, I remember them from past lives. Like one brother came on one of my, I was in a call, a group chat. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, man, I know this motherfucker from somewhere, right? And I'm like, hey man, move over to the camera a little closer, man. I looked at him, I started giving him the rundown of who he was. Everything his pops had told him. He was like, man, my pops told me that. 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 Like, I'm like, I know who the fuck you is. You know what I mean? That's like I look at Dane, I know who the fuck he is. My cousin, who looked like Dane, is the one who flipped me. If you want to be rich, listen to Calloway. Off of a song called I Want to Be Rich by a group called Calloway.
Calloway, I'm gonna write that down.
Now look, when I go back, I'm thinking about what my cousin was saying, and I see this dude, Dane Calloway, and my cousin had a Great Dane named Man. So now Man, his favorite Great Dane, is a Calloway in my mind, making the connections. And so when he brought the song in, the group Calloway, and played it, I Want to Be Rich, and he said, I want you to keep listening to this song over and over. And I've been listening to Dane Calloway about 2 years. You know what I mean? So when I told motherfuckers he was one of the chiefs on the land, the motherfucker kept telling me Dane said he ain't black. He ain't no more. Cause he ain't, motherfucker. He from the land.
Exactly.
He ain't black because he's not a crayon. And he
ain't no more because he ain't from Morocco. Yeah.
Look, now they ain't putting up pictures. He not reading the pictures like I'm reading I'm reading the picture like a tarot card.
Yes.
Now, he don't know what he doing, but he's flipping messages with the pictures he select to give his presentation. In his presentation, he's talking about documents, but I'm reading the pictures that's telling a whole nother story from what the fuck they ain't talking about. You know, so the whole other story told me, hold up, bruh. They was hiding behind them. These the cat's paws. These motherfuckers is the enemies. And if you could take your mind down into the hull of the slave ship, you'll see this shit some bullshit. When I did, okay, so you got this, it's called Soul Retrieval. It's a book called Soul Retrieval. And you could put in your reference list. In doing the soul retrieval, I'm traveling my DNA by calling forth certain energies. I couldn't find a slave ship nowhere. Not even in the people that is tied in my bloodline from that side of the water. Didn't come from slave ships. The ones that we related to, the Zulu and the Hopi, is the same tribe. But when I'm traveling my DNA, the ones I'm seeing coming over here that I'm being shown in mental imagery, they are not coming in bondage, and they're not coming in hostility. Right? And when they getting on this side of the water, we hugging them and kissing them like they long lost relatives. I'm not seeing no slave ships. No slave ships. I can't pull no slave ships up in my DNA. Right? So I don't understand this shit. And then when I go back and I find that in the history books that even they wrote when they asking our ancestors about the ships, they said we didn't see no ships.
Exactly.
So they wrote in, look, they wrote that their cognitive dissonance was so severe that when the ships came, they couldn't even see them. Bullshit. They knew what a ship was because Khan Mansa Musa came on a boat.
Exactly. From part of Africa, he came through South America and came through up through where the Mayans used to be and all that area. They actually used to take boats to the Americas way before anybody knew about the conquistadors came over. It was us coming over.
Right.
Yeah,
but
but
watch this.
keep talking.
And So we already knew what boats look like. And they saying we had no knowledge of ships and boats. Now watch this. On the Pacific, it was an emperor from China that we call Quan Jun came over 5,000 years ago on a boat, a big ass boat. They sailed right on over here. And when we met them, we hugged them and kissed them like long lost relatives. Why we not doing that to the Spanish conquistadors, the blackamoors that's coming over here? We ain't hugging them motherfuckers. We fighting like a motherfucker. They looking for Cordoba, the famed city of gold. The great, that's the great capital of Atlantis that flew the fuck away that they told us sunk. Right? And I'm seeing this shit in the DNA. This shit like, whoa, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You know, so now I got to put it together for y'all.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. And I know when, like, my mom, she told me a lot of where her people came from through Texas and through, I guess, she says it Blackfoot Indian, but it could also be Blackfeet. So I got to really, you know, figure out which one it is specifically. But on my mom's side, we definitely have the Mexican side that came through the Mayans. And so we connected to the Quetzalcoatl. So that whole with the actual dragon. So when there was the two where the eagle and the dragon were down there, that's when we tried to come up north and separate from the ones that stayed down in the south, which went down into, like, you know, central, like, Belize.
Where you see the petroglyph of the eagle fighting the serpent.
Yes.
If you also keep watching the petroglyph, you'll see that the plume serpent is the one they call Quetzalcoatl. He was neither eagle nor serpent. Right? And then they call him the great dragon that consumed them both. He consumed both the. It's an old story and it's written in the petroglyph, and they hard to read for the ones who not tuned in. But Quetzalcoatl is Thoth.
Yes.
And they tried to replace him with Cortez, the conquistador, conqueror. Right? That's who they tried to give the people the impression was Quetzalcoatl.
Exactly.
Right.
And Paul has taken on different forms. He's been around they say he's been around for like 8,000, but I think he's been around for longer than that because he takes different forms each cycle. And so as we move through the different ages, he has to adjust his etherical form to match the vibrational consciousness of the collective of his people, of the people that he's trying to move through. So, you know, I can't really get behind a lot of these narcissists, you know, a lot of these new age people who be saying, oh, well, I'm the guy, all this do me, blah, 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 blah. Like, I may call myself a god sometimes too, but really you have to understand where the divine Akashic records information comes from and where your information comes from to source. And so a lot of people, they get them confused sometimes because they feel like the Akashic records is what we all kind of like hit on, but if you go beyond that and then you hit the source records, then it's like you get it's kind of different. It's hard for me to explain on you know,
so let me
on the live, but
the source records is got all of eternity in it. The Akashic records is the collection of human experiences.
There you go.
And they all are cataloged in the subconscious mind, which is called collective unconscious.
There you go. There you go.
And
yes.
Akasha is the feminine energy that accesses that part of the mind. So that's why they call it Akasha records. And Akasha is a female. Right? Now, when it's time for karma draws the information from Akasha in order to balance out everything according to what is recorded. That's why everything is recorded. And the book of life is what you call universal consciousness of the great mother Tawaret. Right? And that's why she's sitting in the middle of the zodiac with a meat cleaver, because she'll bust your ass in the head with it if you don't get right.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, man.
I
thank you and I appreciate you. I just want you to know that I thank and appreciate you, OG, for real.
I appreciate you coming in. Give me a holler. Give people some
I will.
insight, you know.
And let me know. I do software engineering, so I do like the Discord bots. I do all that shit. I'm not no crypto scammer, but I definitely do the crypto too. I know how to make this stuff from nothing. So I'm an engineer. I have my degree and all this shit. So I know, but I have my experience in the streets with working with corporations. So I know how they think. I know how the businesses think. So, you know, if you need anything from me on that tip, you know what I'm saying? Just let me know. Tap in with me, you know, and I'll got you with all my knowledge.
I'm done.
I'll share it, you know, free game, all the above.
No, I'll go get it in a minute though. Yeah, yep. So I'll be in touch with you. Be in touch with me. You know, I got a lot of people be messaging me, so you got to periodically, so I know you know, be able to keep track.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, I got one
Peace.
more. I got one more. I gotta pull up. Somebody asked a question. What's going on, brother?
I'm chilling, family. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good. I'm actually just watching one of your videos right now from Facebook. I had to go back and start from the scratch. You know what I'm saying, bro?
You're going to see the whole process of me going through trying to figure out what the fuck I'm dealing with. I'm having crying and all kind of shit in there.
Hey, to be honest with you, that's the most beautiful part thus far. You know what I'm saying? Is I'm really able to see the transition, you know, not even a transition, the process itself. And that's a beautiful thing, bro. Like, I appreciate your vulnerability, you know what I'm saying? Even the one where you really talking to your auto worker family, you know what I'm saying, about when you was leaving and whatnot. Like, you know, at this point, my whole thing has just been like like I already internally knew, but like you emphasized on, right, which is just like you gonna know who is who and who is not, you know what I'm saying, if you kind of tap into that yourself. And I actually came on, you mentioned it right before. I was just wondering who the book Soul Retrieval was written by, which one you're talking about, because I'm on the website right now. I'm online trying to find a PDF or something like that if I can. It's not a bonnet. It's not a bonnet, queen. I'm just in my blanket.
Yeah, boy, they don't be playing, boy. That's why I can't be soft, because they subject to, you know, hit me with some stuff from time to time.
Nah, most definitely. She said blanket, stop it. Hey, listen here. I got the whole thing over here. Y'all trying to play with me on the live. Yeah.
What's them colors? Red and white, and what else?
Red, white, and this is actually this is an Arkansas. And now that excuse my language, I started really thinking about everything. I'm like, I got my daddy from Arkansas, my mama from Mississippi, so I'm just going through it. I'm not in no rush. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you know the Arkansas Razorbacks is actually a tribe.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they was a warrior tribe from out of the woods of Arkansas. You didn't want to go back there messing with them, and they went back there beating the beehive with a stick.
That part, I'm gonna have to do some more research and tap in. Everybody's saying Shango. I don't know what that means, to be honest with y'all.
Shango, one of the lowers that come in the red and the white.
Okay.
With that sword, he pull that sword out and clear the way. He opened up some shit.
That's that sword of truth you always be talking about?
No, that's the opener of the way. The sword of truth come behind him. That come with the old goon. Just split them up the middle, wherever you see one at.
Understood.
Yeah. That's the Orisha.
Absolutely.
The hierarchy of the 7 African powers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I'm excited to keep on learning so that I could participate and partake more in the conversations, you know what I'm saying, from my own perspective of, you know what I'm saying, what I've experienced here and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of interesting. I really resonated with. I was gonna ask you actually, without putting too much of my business out there like that. Not that I really care, but while you're finding that book, you know, I definitely, what you was talking about with that voltage. What's that by?
Her name is Joanne Neff.
Joanne Ness.
So Neff, Neff.
NEFF,
So
sure.
soul retrieval turn to wholeness, and it's one of those books about it's a couple of them actually that's good, but that's the one the good starter book.
Okay, bet that. Yeah, I've been diving in. I've been diving in. Not trying to, but doing my part. You know what I'm saying? Wherever I can, however I can. But I was gonna ask you something. I came in on a live yesterday, and I just must have missed it right at the end. So I don't know if it wasn't for me at that time, right? But if I'm being honest, since I'm being honest with you, right? I kind of for the last I've been on this for the last 9 months or so, right? I kind of stopped smoking weed. You know what I'm saying? I kind of stopped smoking weed, and here and there and whatnot, but not as heavily as I really. You know what I'm saying? I didn't care, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it was. But most recently, I had a situation not a situation, I had a beautiful experience, right? Yeah, exactly. A beautiful experience with regards to the only thing I could correlate it with, right? Because I was sitting there, and then the day after it happened, I watched one of your videos where you talking about a 9-vote nigga that's not gonna make it, you know what I'm saying, and whatnot. So I believe that's what was going on there, and but then the next day I smoked some weed, and I'm talking about it should have me feeling like a lightweight, because I'm I smoked barely, you know what I'm saying, barely, and it took me to some shit, you know what I'm saying? And one of the things about that was I had to get over the fear, because for a second it was I'm damn, bro, I can't do that again. So then the next day I was fuck it, I'm not about to be scared of it, you know what I'm saying? So I was it's either a tool, like you said, for your liberation, or it's in opposition to that, so I'm I gotta find out what it is. And so I was just wondering if you had any, before I hop off, I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying, take nobody's time. We're not too much, but before I hop out on that, if you had any, and I could definitely reach out to you personally and whatnot and give you more of the full, he can't put it in words. Most definitely I can't. Being real with you, I most definitely can't. Somebody in the comments, I definitely can't put it into words. It was like Rod say, some people dream in feelings, you know what I'm saying? I can't put that one into words. So yeah.
Study the endocannabinoid system.
Okay.
ENDO cannabinoid. CANIB, I think it's INAL noid. NOID.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right, bet that.
Yeah. So that's when you smoke marijuana, this is what you activate.
Okay.
The endocannabinoid system is it's the overlay of your spirit body. So when you agitate it with the THC, you make it get stronger. And when you get the munchies, you eat the sugar and the greasy food, you're trying to get the polyunsaturated fat in the brain to facilitate the rapid firing. And you're trying to get the sugar in the brain because most of your glucose is used in the brain. But when you get a lot of glucose in what you call sugar form, it creates an alcohol burn, which is a dirty burn. And the soot is the set. And the set is the backdrop of conscious melanin created by communicating through the carbon in the soot you just generated and the carbon that's in your brain to increase your neuromelanin production and stimulate your pineal gland and sync the two hemispheres of the brain. So this is why all of the chiefs be chiefing.
I'm hearing you.
So everything that you do, the gratitude to the ancestors for making you do it so you can use it for your liberation, you begin to control it better and you begin to use it for a purpose better.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you, Rod. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything you done did before I even started, you know what I'm saying, in 2018. From now, watching that shit, it kind of remind me already of But, you know, people be talking about nowadays as time travel. I'm like, bro, he talking to me about this shit, and I'm getting it right here, right now, and it's still just as accurate, as valid, and that gives me more emphasis to just have a passion for going back and learning and remembering who the fuck I am and what the fuck I am. So I appreciate you for real.
For sure, for sure.
All right, be easy.
Dude.
Absolutely, unity.
Get through. What's going on, man? No.
OG. All I was gonna say was these fools don't know you insulting them or you just making sure their mom's straight. That's some mercy shit. They don't know there's an army waiting. Right now I'm in the UK. I'm planning to come over in 2022, go into the hoods, do whatever I need to do, help the family. There's an army here. There's an army waiting. I hope. Well, what I was gonna say is that, like, especially these fools that are trying to send you some shit. Especially these fools that, like, if you give the word, that'd be gone in a second.
Yeah,
that'd be gone in a second.
Look, I would have did that myself. I ain't gonna send somebody to do something for me when I can have the satisfaction of doing it myself.
Yeah.
No, because I'd be disappointed if I sent somebody else to do it, and then I'm thinking about, man, I could have did that myself. Yeah. I could have enjoyed watching them squeal like a pig in person. So
I meditated the other day, and I got exactly that. If they fuck with you, and especially to me, if they fuck with you, if you give them mercy, one of us will be sent.
Yeah.
I got that. But nah, I hear you, and I just want to say thank you for all you do. Thank you for what you do. What you do over there, it helps us on the continent as well.
Yeah.
Hey.
When we take this over here, we take it. When this get took over here, that's took over too.
I hope people understand that. I hope people understand that.
If they knew that that's ISIS land, all of what
before I met Elijah or Malcolm or God getting them in the sacred halls, they put Master Fire Muhammad before me. He was old and wrinkled up, and I was fucked up. He wasn't supposed to be old and wrinkled up according to how he need to live. But then he told me, because that was the first thing I want to know. If you God, right? And I'm talking to one they call Master Fire Muhammad, the Sufi mystic, the one that they're trying to figure out what happened to him. And I know what happened to him, and I know where he at. I know where the body was, and all that. But I'm not going to get into that because that's not necessary for this video. Master Fire Muhammad told me the reason why he was all wrinkled and aged. He said because he was done with this physical form. He said, I began to eat 3 meals a day. I said, well, why would you do that if you're supposed to eat 1 meal a day and you're supposed to do everything according to righteousness? He said, look, I ate 3 meals a day because it accelerates my decay and accelerates my breakdown. It didn't make no sense to me. I didn't realize until last year after my graduation it was a riddle. And this is what the riddle was. He was telling me that at this day and time, the old ways would be hampered by greed. That's what he was telling me. When he showed himself as being aged, he's telling me this is the old ways. This is the old stuff, the old energy. And it's going to be hampered from the rebirth of the new energy by the 3 meals a day represented the greed. Because according to how to eat to live, if you're eating 3 meals a day, you're greedy. It's just that simple. You're greedy. 7 deadly sins. Jealousy, envy, lust, greed, number 4. So greedy, what will make a person greedy? Deprivation. Deprivation is the fertilizer for greed. Who's been deprived? The American so-called Negro. Since he's been here, he's been deprived. Been deprived of everything that the Christ was deprived of in the crucifixion. He's been deprived of knowledge itself. Thorns on his head. Deprived of the right to build his own stuff with his hands nailed to the cross. Deprived of the right to walk the land freely with his feet nailed to the cross. And his blood has been contaminated against his will, thus seen by the spear of destiny as it mixes the blood in the urine. It's in your face. But I have to show you that it's in your face or you won't believe me. It's right there. The whole story is right there. So the judgment that Anu, who was authorized to issue a judgment because his rank was higher, issued the judgment on Nebuchadnezzar as the story is told. That's Hiram. That's the story of Hiram. Part of it. Part of it is in Ezekiel. Some of it is in the other lesser prophets. It's all there though. It's broke up. They use homonyms and synonyms. All of this stuff is relevant. They use star charts to confuse you because they know the stars not going to change. And that's one of the few things that they put in the books, no matter which one it is, that you can always check for frame of reference. They're not allowed to change anything stellar. If you see him write about a star, study that intently, because that's one of the few things that, according to the rules of this universe, they cannot change that on Earth, where it cannot be referenced with the stars. Any book that they call a religious book, if it got stellar references, that's your starting point. Match the stars up first. Then match the stories up that fall under the stars. And then it'll clear itself up. You won't need nobody to do it for you. You won't need nobody. So this is why they keep telling you that there's astrotheology in the Bible, in the Quran, the Judaic religions. All they telling you is that everything man can change on Earth, he can't change the stars in the sky. So your elders, your ancestors, was wise enough to know this. So everything they did, they tied it directly to the stars so that you can read it in real time as it unfolds on Earth. And that's why I pointed out, when I was telling everyone Hiram was raised, the stars point to the Orion belt. Who is Orion? The great and mighty hunter. Who was the great and mighty hunter? Nimrod. Who was Nimrod? The one they feared. Who was the one they feared? The only one they couldn't defeat, Sun Wukong. Well, what happened to Sun Wukong? Sun Wukong met the Buddha. The Buddha sent him to tame his Sakoma, his monkey man. He named him Hanuman as he became realized, because he said, the Monkey King told the Buddha that no man may become God. They can all attain the level of a Hanuman. Look it up. It's no secret. It's all there. And so, if the Orion is the great hunter Nimrod, and if Nimrod is the only undefeated Sun Wukong, and the Sun Wukong went to the Buddha, the great wise one, and the great wise one told him he had to attain the wisdom of the ages before he could rule. And so he went on a journey to the west. Where would he go? Where would he go? If he's going on a journey to the west, where would he go? So at that time, the west was Africa. So he went to the Congo. So this is why they call him the king of the Congo. And they use the symbol of the gorilla, King Kong, because the gorilla is the only major mammal on the continent of Africa you will not find in the hieroglyphics. Now you got to ask yourself why. If they knew about chimpanzees and orangutans in Asia, well, not orangutans, because they wrote about them over in India, but if they knew about chimpanzees in Africa, if they knew about baboons in Africa, and they knew about the elephant in Africa, and the lion, and the wildebeest, and they knew about stuff in the water that y'all ain't even seen yet in Africa, how the hell they didn't know about the gorilla? Well, spoiler. The only reason the gorilla is not in the hieroglyphics is the last